Okay, so I would like to call our town council June 10th meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here this afternoon for coming out. And also I'd like to welcome those that are watching by way of internet. We'll check the calendar here and see what we have going on. We have, only thing we have is Tuesday, June 24th. And this is up in the air, right? That's June 24th, town council meeting.
Yes,
Correct.
you have an
We're not
item
sure.
to, well, you have an item in your agenda to cancel that meeting.
Yeah,
Your
that's
staff
right.
doesn't have anything for the agenda.
But it isn't canceled legally yet, so
No, sir.
we'll
No,
still call it up
That's
on the
correct.
agenda there. Okay, we'll move on to our public comment. I'll kind of get the rules on that. There'll be a 3-minute time limit, which the town attorney will keep that. And also, all you don't need to give your address, just give your name, correct?
Mhm.
And we will go ahead and I'll turn it over to our town attorney.
Ellen Pitt.
My name's Ellen Pitt, and I preside over the Western North Carolina Regional DWI Task Force. And I'm here tonight on behalf of our team to commend the town of Waynesville for making the visionary and life-saving decision to protect their community by supporting continuous alcohol monitoring for high-risk offenders. Your investment has paid off 100%. And you are now the flagship for the efficient use of technology that saves lives and tax dollars. You have saved your citizens thousands of dollars in incarceration costs. Cam bracelets have a long history in Western North Carolina of saving lives, saving man hours, and saving money. And while 6-figure salaried executives in Raleigh sit uselessly spinning their wheels, the town of Waynesville has already won the race. You are regional superstars in DWI prevention. Thank you all, and a special thank you to Mr. Heights and Mr. Fowler for waiting to learn about the technology and protocols and hearing different perspectives prior to making a decision, unlike some of our elected officials who almost always proceed to decisions with no information. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you, Ellen, for what you do also. I don't know if I had a chance to ever tell you that, but thanks for everything you do for the program you do.
Doug Oliver.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Douglas Oliver. I own the business Always Do Right LLC, and I am your cam provider for the town of Waynesville. Wanted to, as well as Ellen said, thank you all very much for entrusting me with this program. And I just want to let you know that if anybody wants to see how well the town is doing, I can pull it up right now. We are running 99.7% success. 99.7. What else do you know is running 99.7% success? The town of Waynesville is doing that. So I just want to thank y'all very much for entrusting me for that and then running that program. And I continue, hopefully that we can continue to run it for long into the future. So thank y'all very much. And it's very nice to put a face with everybody, and then y'all know my face now. So can't miss me. I'm always in the cowboy hat. So thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Linda Sexton.
My name is Linda Sexton, and I do live in Waynesville. I know traffic calming is going to be discussed later on, that y'all have revised things, and I think that's great. I did read what is going to be presented. The reason I'm here, I had a traffic study done on Legion. I live on Town and Country, which intersects Legion, back in October of 22 by JMT Traffic Engineers. And just short comments, on day one, there was 1,819 cars. Day 2 was 1,876, and approximately 93% of the vehicles are exceeding the speed limit by at least 5 miles per hour. The highest one was going 55 and 59 miles per hour on Legion, and the second day was 80 miles an hour and 99 miles an hour. I know that I got a nice letter from the town which told me that Legion Street is not eligible for traffic calming devices because it is a collector street. And being a collector street, I guess, means that it's not primarily residential. So there are 16 townhomes, of which I'm the president of the homeowners association, and then there's people across the street that are also living on Legion. And if we can't get the traffic slowed down any, that's just something we have to live with and take our lives in our hands as we try to cross the street. I would like to see if the town cannot reduce the speeding on Legion, that they do a pedestrian crossing at the corner of Legion and Pigeon Street, like there are many places with the stripe. I don't know if it's paint or elastic or what it is. We don't have that. So those of us who have to take our lives in our hands to walk our dogs or our children or whoever across Legion, we could use some help. Thank you.
That shouldn't be a problem. You do a little crosswalk, a little stripe or something there to show that that is a, we can stripe. Stripe it. Yeah, we'll look into that now. Yes, ma'am.
And then, Ms. Simmons, I'll just let you know that we'll call you during the public hearing.
Okay, thank you all for your public comments. We'll move on to additions and deletions to the agenda. We do have some additions. There's another agenda item that I'm going to add right after item 9. So we'll need an amendment for that motion somewhere.
Yes, Mayor, I'll make a motion to add the annual review of terms for board and commission members as after item 9.
Okay.
Second.
Second to Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we add one final item, which is approval of or consideration of a grant application to Dogwood Health Trust.
Okay. Also to come after that one item 9. Okay, no problem. And then the consent agenda there.
I made the motion, so.
Oh, you're seconding it. I thought we already.
No, he's making another
Second, you're making a
motion.
second. Okay. I'll need a second.
I'll second, Mayor.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, got it. We'll move on then to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay. All right. We have a proclamation for Pride Month, proclamation there, and Councilman Sutton is going to read that proclamation for us tonight.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I'm very delighted to be able to do this for the second year in a row. Thank you. Whereas the town of Waynesville, North Carolina, it is a community that values all its citizens, recognizing that diversity strengthens our community and fosters mutual respect and understanding. And whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community is a vital part of all fields and professions contributing to a stronger community. And whereas it is imperative that young people in the community, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas the town of Waynesville is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ plus people in our diverse community. And whereas Pride Month is celebrated in June each year in commemoration of its roots in the Stonewall riots of June 1969, a pivotal movement in the fight for LGBTQ plus rights. And whereas the town of Waynesville has shown its commitment to the community, passing a resolution of support for the LGBTQ plus community and pledging to review official policies and materials for possible inadvertent discriminatory language. And whereas, while society at large increasingly supports the community equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for Waynesville's LGBT plus community, and is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. Now therefore, I, Gary Caldwell, Mayor of Town of Waynesville, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June as Pride Month in the town of Waynesville and encourage all citizens to recognize the contributions made by members of the LGBTQ plus community and to actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice. In witness wherefore, I hereunto set my hand this 10th day of June, 2025.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, we also tonight have a public hearing. To get that public hearing started, I will need a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
A motion by Julia,
Second.
second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign. Ms. Olga.
Good evening, Olga Grumman, Assistant Development Services Director. Everybody hear me okay? This is a public hearing for a map amendment or rezoning request for a subject property at 185/187 West Marshall Street in Waynesville. I will read the pin for the record. 8616409101. Today with me, we have the owner's representative, Mr. Jay Rolfe, in the back, and he'll have an opportunity to speak as well. Just to clarify, the rezoning is for the subject property at 185/187 West Marshall Street. There is no zoning change to the park. That's some of the questions that we have received. This is a legislative hearing as recommended by the planning board. The applicant owns a storage unit business that operates at both northern property at 234 West Marshall Street and the subject property below it at 185/187 West Marshall Street. The upper and the smaller portion of the business, which is just over half an acre, 0.59 of an acre, is already zoned Ross Avenue Regional Center Commercial District. The lower portion and the larger portion of the business, which is 3¼ acres, is zoned as Walnut Street Neighborhood Residential Mixed Use Overlay District. So this is the same business under the same ownership that operates under two different parcels that are zoned differently. The business has existed as a storage unit under different ownership in Waynesville for 40 years. The storage units fall under the definition of mini warehouses and the land development standards. This use is currently not permitted for the lower property zoned as Walnut Street Neighborhood Residential MXL. It is fully permitted in the upper property, however. So the goal for rezoning is to bring the entire site into the alignment with its long-standing use as a self-storage facility, as the applicants stated in their application materials. The applicants also state, quote, Richland Creek Storage has served the Waynesville community for over 40 years. While the facility has been grandfathered in under prior zoning, the current classification restricts our ability to make upgrades and improvements. Since purchasing the property 3 years ago, our team has invested in maintaining and enhancing the facility to better serve the growing needs of the community. So the lower part is grandfathered in. It is currently a pre-existing nonconformity under the current zoning. What it means is they're allowed to exist as they are, but they're extremely limited
to make an improvement. For example, rezoning will allow them for greater lighting flexibility. On the current zoning, they cannot reconfigure, enlarge, rebuild something, because the idea for nonconformities in our chapter 13 of LDS is to phase them out. This is not the intent of the current business owners. They would like to continue to operate and not be restricted in their operation. As you can see on the exhibit, the subject property is surrounded by a variety of uses, including 4 residential uses to the south, Mountain Creek Plaza apartment complex, and part of the storage business to the north, Walnut Village Shopping Center to the west, and Vent Street Park to the east. Under the current zoning, the property has the following intent: Aldrin Town Neighborhood District, separating 3 major centers, Ross Avenue, North Main Street, and Central Business District. The residential scale will be required. Because it's a mixed-use overlay, there are some limited commercial uses that are allowed there, but mini warehouses, aka storage units, are not one of them. The proposed Ross Avenue Regional Center District, which is also adjacent, has the following purpose and intent. As a gateway for the community, the district shall be a setting for high-intensity land uses. The mixture of residential and commercial uses is encouraged, and access between development and public areas. Given the distinctly different purposes of the 2 districts, it would be more appropriate, staff submits, that the subject property operating as a storage units to be rezoned from Walnut Street Main Creek Residential MXO to Ross Avenue Regional Center. As stated earlier, the applicants own the storage unit business operating across 2 adjacent properties, and they would like to keep their successful business in operation. To date, staff has received 5 inquiries from the residents. In your report says 3. We have received 2 more since about the proposed rezoning. None of the residents expressed further concerns or questions. There were some questions if the storage units are leaving, if the park is being rezoned, and one of the residents said that I need the storage units. So there were no further questions or concerns. In the application materials, the applicants explained that they purchased the business 3 years ago and intend to continue its operation. The business itself, however, has been established 40 years ago, as mentioned prior. Staff considered this rezoning request to be appropriate and recommends it. First, the property is directly adjacent to Ross Avenue Regional Center District, and it includes a portion of this business, which happens to be the smaller portion of the business to the north. It is also adjacent to Mountain Creek Apartment Complex and the Waynesville Plaza Center that are already zoned as Ross Avenue Regional Center. And the property is also adjacent to the railroad corridor. It is a pre-existing nonconformity, but rezoning could create a consistent zoning designation for 2 separate parcels for the same business. In the proposed Ross Avenue Regional Center District, mini warehouses are permitted. However, they're not permitted by right. They're still permitted under the special use permit. So what it means is if rezoning is approved and special use permit will take place if there are any major renovations to the property. So staff does not have any authority to approve those major changes. They would still have to go to the planning board for consideration of impacts and their changes in design review. Such changes would include any increase in impervious surface, any decrease in setbacks greater than 10%, and any enlargement of the gross floor area by 10% or more. So again, this use would not be granted by right, but is subject to special use permit, which includes any major renovations as specified, subject to review by the planning board. Although the applicants plan to continue operating storage units business, staff has provided you with a table of other potential uses that would be allowed in this district should the rezoning take place. So in other words, there would be a fully commercial district. At the planning board hearing on May 19, 2025, the board as a body recommended the rezoning to the town council. However, a couple of board members did express concerns about opening up the property to potential commercial uses in the future and the adjacency of the property to the park. It's important to note that although this additional uses, highly commercial uses would be open, almost all of them are not granted by right. They will be either subject to special use permit or additional standards. For example, right truck terminals, mini warehouses, monopole towers, utilities, and general commercial over 100,000 square feet would trigger a special use permit review. It means that these uses would have to go to the planning board, and the planning board would have to not only check the compliance with the ordinance, but one of the criteria is compatibility with adjacent properties, character of the neighborhood, and any mitigation impacts the board can face the conditions on those as well. Other uses will be subject to additional standards. Additional standards include, but not limited to, depending on the use, buffer and screen, prohibition of some heavy equipment storage period, additional enhanced setbacks, containment of certain materials. So a lot of commercial uses that would be open theoretically in the future would be either subject to special use permit review by the planning board or additional standards. Consistency with the comprehensive plan. For the broader audience, the comprehensive plan, 25 land use plan, is a visionary document that outlines the long-term vision for the community. So within that plan, the northern property that is owned by the Innovation Center is designated as mixed-use regional. The subject property is designated mixed-use community. So the storage units were already existing when this map and this plan were adopted. And it looks like they're just, the railroad corridor seems to be the boundary for the designation. So with that being said, one of the motions is a consistency statement. To date, the council has three options. Option one, the town council may find that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use map since the storage units precede the creation of the map. The storage units were there was a reason to designate them different, make it consistent with option one. Option two, the council may find that the rezoning is inconsistent with the future land map. And option three, that is recommended by the planning board, is town council may find the proposed rezoning is inconsistent with the land use map, but it is still reasonable in the public interest because of existing successful business and part of the business is already designated differently. Therefore, it is inconsistent, but the council may approve the rezoning and they would simultaneously amend this map. It will place this lower portion into the designation aligned with the northern portion, which is mixed use community. So you would change both the zoning map and the future land use map. And this is the option that the planning board went with. Staff submit this amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it meets the following goals of the comp plan. Goal 1, to continue to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, create walkable and attractive neighborhoods and commercial centers, encourage infill, mixed use, and context-sensitive development. And Goal 5, create opportunities for a sustainable economy, promote the growth of existing local businesses in Waynesville's maker economy. This public hearing was duly advertised in the Mountaineer newspaper by sending letters to adjacent property owners within 100 feet, posting the property, and notice to local media. That concludes the staff report and recommendations. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have the applicants represented here as well.
Anyone from the council have questions for?
I have a question. In a vacuum, seems to me that's a reasonable request. There's a lot of positives. It's a non-conforming use. The adjacent property is already zoned, and the RA Russ Avenue Regional Center, et cetera, et cetera. I'm struggling with the fact that we are opening up would you agree, Olga, that the regional center zoning districts are the most intensely developed districts in this community?
I cannot make a statement that's the most intensely, but it's definitely a highly commercial district and highly developed district with all a variety of uses.
And isn't it designed that way?
It is designed to be that way, yes.
Correct. Okay. The Walnut Street neighborhood, on the other hand, is designed for residential use with limited commercial aspects. And so
Well,
what,
not quite, if I may.
sure,
Walnut Street neighborhood residential, yes, like you said, is residential with extremely limited commercial uses. However, the current zoning is also MXO, mixed use overlay, which is usually a buffer zone with some limited commercial uses below.
sure, totally get it. Okay, so here's my question. So if we elect to rezone that to our most intensely developed zone, it opens it up to just about anything. Okay, and I totally get what you're saying about the special use permits and what have you. But here's the thing, is that let's just conduct a thought experiment quickly. Let's just say that we rezone this property, and 3 years from now, the property is sold. Okay, the current owner has stated publicly, I believe, in his application that he intends to keep this as a mini storage facility, which is fine. But 3 years from now, that is sold. Okay, and I would say that the chance of that happening is higher because the property value as zoned as RC is going to make that property more valuable. So let's just say that a new owner purchases the property, levels the mini storage units, and opens a bar and tavern on that property. That is a by right use in the
Have
RARC.
additional standards. So bar and tavern would have additional standards, if I may. If you give me just a few shakes here, I will pull that out. Center. Bar, tavern, it has PS, everything's like with PS, is additional standards to that. And we can quickly go, I'm almost there, find those. So all the impactful or more intrusive uses, they will have if additional standards, they will not be by right, including the bar and tavern. And for bar, for example, the only additional standard there is in the bar is distance from the lot that contain church or in school. However, it's not applicable in regional mixed use district. So in this case, actually, the only standard they will be exempt, so they can do the bar here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the bar is now open directly across the street from one of the crown jewels in the town of Waynesville parks system. We've got the tennis courts down there. There are children playing all over the place, and we have a bar directly across the street from that. We've got increased nighttime activity, noise, and traffic near Vance Street and the adjacent homes. We've got light pollution and parking lot lighting and signages affecting the nearby residents. We've got public safety concerns related to alcohol consumption near a public park and family-oriented neighborhood. So my question is that, would that be an appropriate use next to the park in the residential area?
That is up to the council to decide.
Okay. So is it possible, we established that a new owner could conceivably have a by right to locate a bar and tavern there? Can the town at that point reasonably deny that use once RARC is in place?
If the use is allowed and additional standards are met, if there are any, we cannot deny. They would have to adhere to the noise ordinance and things like that.
Correct. And one final point that I would make is that over the last 2 years, you and me and Elizabeth and Ginger Hain and Jake Petrowski spent a lot of time talking about downzoning, correct? Reducing density in a couple of our districts, right? What happened recently to stymie that effort?
The General
General
Assembly.
Assembly passed the bill that local governments cannot downzone without consent of all the
Exactly. And so my point is, if we change the zoning on this to Russ Avenue Regional Center, there ain't no going back forever.
If this bill is not repealed, I mean, I'm not sure about forever, but at this point,
Still in litigation.
that's it.
Okay. So,
And if you have the applicant here,
sure.
Now, if you put I think we have a difference of what a bar and tavern is, because if it's like Red Fox, they close at 9 o'clock and, right? If they put a bar there, it would still be governed by all the rules and regulations of noise ordinance and public intoxication, and people wouldn't be drunk in the park, just to be clear.
and parking requirements, so.
Parking requirements, buffers.
You are more confident than I am.
Well, I can tell you there's not drunk people laying in front of the Red Fox on Russ Avenue.
Well, okay.
Just, if we're gonna play a thought experiment.
Anyone have any questions on this end?
Let me ask Josh a question. Josh, do you know if ABC permits an ABC license within a certain number of feet of a public park?
I think 1,000 feet.
I don't really know what they do to determine permit.
It's like a,
Or in, we normally do a background check, make supplies, everything's good. We push it forward, so that's how all
Okay. Okay.
I think it's church and school, and I will look.
Is it not true that some future owner could locate an ABC store on that property,
They
a
could.
package store on that property?
ABC store, yes, they could.
That's governed by the
That's governed
town.
by,
A
yeah,
package
no.
store on that
What
property?
kind of package?
Gas station,
A gas station will be subject
special use permit. I totally get it.
to, gas station, just additional standards, not a special use.
Okay, so standards,
Well, I can look them up right now. Just a moment. Look at them here. Okay.
There are,
I got it. Gas station, cannabis pumps must be located to the side or rear of the principal building, except RC, so that wouldn't apply. Pump cannabis must be located at least 50 feet from any interior side or rear property that adjoins residential or developed property. Must be buffered from adjoining residential uses by type B buffer in accordance with section of yes. and all lighting must be shielded to direct light and glare only to the lot or parcel where the gas station is located.
How about while you're on that chart, and auto repair with outdoor storage?
Okay. Outside storage of vehicles for repair and/or parts. Screening type A buffer, which is the thickest buffer, non-permeable. No storage areas will be permitted to encroach in the required screen buffer. Vehicle major repair, body work. Outdoor storage prohibited for certain storage appliances, electronics, parts, equipment. It's not permitted. Type A buffer. Outdoor storage, repair, and service operations shall not encroach into the flood area. Stream buffers require building setbacks. So buffering and prohibition of putting storage outside.
Okay, so, and we could have a garage there that works on cars, correct?
Hypothetically, yes, sir.
Okay. Noise from tools, compressors, odors from chemicals, oil and dust, increased traffic from tow trucks and customer vehicles, potential runoff of pollutants into nearby stormwater systems or green spaces.
They can have pollutants, EPA and all ordinance will regulate them. They have permits
Sure.
to, yeah.
All good, okay? But it could happen. And here's my point, is we are talking about opening that can of worms for all time across from that beautiful park.
So I would just remind the councilman that this is the time to offer evidence and that there will be time for discussion after.
Okay.
So, in debate, if necessary.
I do have a question for Olga. And I'm sorry, it's kind of a dumb question, but we're being asked to rezone the northern,
The southern part, the larger
southern
part.
part,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
The northern part is
It's
already,
already in.
Sorry.
Northern
Yes.
part is already.
Can we look
zoned.
at that? Can we see that map again?
Yeah,
Just one piece. The others are already in.
it's also in your
Southern.
packet if it's
Yeah.
easier to see. It's in your packet. Hold on a minute. So
Okay.
the zoning map, the colors are very similar, but part of the same business, that's already zoned Route 70 Regional Center. And you can
at
see
the
to
top, the
left-
northern part.
Right.
Okay.
With apartments, all of it is Route 70 Regional Center, and the Causeway to Plaza, all of that. Railroad track is a separator. Right below it's subject property.
Okay, I understand. All right, thank you.
I'll ask you questions once we get to that part.
Okay. Everybody good? Okay, we open some public.
Yeah, okay. Do you wish to speak?
Okay, does the applicant, would you choose to speak?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Good evening, how are you? I'm Jimmy Ralph. I'm the facility manager over at Mission Creek. I've been for a little over a year. I can assure you that we understand your concerns as far as opening up Pandora's box, so to speak. But really, I can assure you this, being there a little over a year and a half, that a very large portion of our tenants in those facilities are folks that are living in the apartments that are adjacent to it there. You also have a lot of apartments going in other areas that are new, that are under construction. So I guess my point is that there is an illicit need for storage facilities like that. It's a good business, especially in this area. There's a need for that. So although I can't conjecture what future owners or purchasers of the property will do, I can tell you that it wouldn't be a very smart business decision for somebody to do that because of the need in the area, support that we provide to the properties that are adjoining. So again, it's very difficult to conjecture what somebody would do or not do. But anybody who buys that property is, if they did intend on changing it to a bar or a tavern, would incur a considerable expense in doing so, in flattening, removal, all that kind of stuff. and then would be gambling with how successful that business would be by putting something new in there when we already have a successful business that's already operating. That would be my only point there. And like I said, I'm a local resident myself, and I have a lot of conversations with the tenants that are in there and out. There's a lot of folks that there's a big need for storage in the area, especially with the expansion of the town. It wouldn't be a very smart business decision for somebody to buy it and then try and change it, incur that kind of expense. That's my opinion, of course, but that's just based on what I see.
I know it's been in storage for 40 years.
It has,
probably.
yeah.
Ever since I was a kid,
Can we
it's
ask what
always
kind of
been-
improvements they intend to make?
I think she's still involved
Okay,
in
no
the
problem.
original owner. I think they still have a relationship.
Yeah.
She holds the deed of trust on there was a portion of the purchase that must have been seller financed. So She
Correct.
holds the deed of trust.
Correct. That's right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Does anyone from the public would like to speak regarding?
Yeah,
You're on
Nancy
the-
Simmons.
You're on the public.
Mhm.
Please come forward. Yep. And 3 minutes, correct? And the town attorney will keep a 3-minute time frame on it. Just give us your name.
Your time will be here.
Oh, okay. My name is Mitzi Simmons, and I live next door to the storage unit. I only found out about this, I happened to see it in the newspaper, and when I saw this proposal, I was alarmed. You know, I read in that article, I believe it was Ms. Grossman said, once we upzone, we have no control. And with that park next door, that park is a treasure. It is one of the most spectacularly beautiful things I have ever seen. And if this town gives up the stewardship of that for this upzoning proposal, it would be a huge mistake, because it's not going to be just, we have no control. It's going to be, we have no stewardship. We've given up stewardship of this beautiful, priceless, natural piece of land that is yours to protect for generations. And, you know, I'm looking at that sign up there that says progress with vision. And if you upzone something across the street from that beautiful park to Russ Avenue zoning, I mean, you look at Russ Avenue, there's nothing could be more incongruous than Russ Avenue and the beauty of that park. And it wouldn't be progress with vision, it would be no progress, it would be neither one, not progress or vision. You would be, you know, the whole concern about being a Pandoran box. I mean, I hear that that it's been a storage unit for 40 years, but you can't ride on that because there's new owners now. And once that property is upzoned, it's going to be dollar signs, ka-ching, ka-ching. It would make perfect sense to flip it and sell it so that it could be one of the intensely commercial businesses put in there. And it would break my heart if this town jeopardizes the beauty of that park to do something like that. And you just look at the risk benefit of this proposal. I mean, there's a small benefit to the business owner, but the risk to the town and the community is phenomenal. And you let that horse out and you're never getting it back. And I don't care whether it's a bar next door or a Walmart or a Best Buy or whatever intensely commercial property use it could be, it would not be in keeping with the park. And I also question the need for it, because when I was reading about it in the paper, you know, it was just kind of like this hokey, oh, we just need some upgrades to lighting and stuff. Well, I live next door to that park, to that storage unit, and my backyard at night, it is like a prison yard. It is so lit up with lights. So they already have lights. And, you know, I respect the fact that we need a storage unit, and I'm glad that they're there, and I hope that the needs of the business owners can be met. But I question if there couldn't be something like, if they need something in particular, some variance to the existing umbrella that they have, instead of, okay, I'm not talking, instead of what could be a catastrophic decision that you can't take back with, I mean, just keep that part of the future generations in mind.
I can assure you the park ain't going nowhere.
Well, I know, but the character of the neighborhood will if this upzoning goes through.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. With that, we'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a question for
You have a
Olga, though.
question? You still have questions?
Sure.
So I can still, I don't,
If-
once we close it, we can't ask her.
Right, so if you're, the public hearing is where we add all of the evidence to the record.
Yeah.
If you would like to add more evidence from Olga to the record, now would be the appropriate time.
Perfect. Can you pull that map back up?
Yeah.
Jesse? So this subject property is the one that we were thinking of rezoning, correct? And the one that's part of the same business is already zoned Russ Avenue Regional Center.
Correct.
Can you point out where the park is on here?
The park is right adjacent to both of these parcels.
Both parcels.
Both parcels, the park is directly adjacent to both parcels. And also, the park is across Waynesville Plaza, to the street, yeah.
And could you show where the railroad is
The
for noise
railroad is
purposes?
still in, along the northern side of the subject property, in between the two parcels. This is the railroad. It's going right across between the businesses and across the park.
So theoretically, the one that says part of the same business, they could put a bar there right now.
They can put the bar there right now, they can put an alcoholic beverage store right now, or they can put the store there, that's not for use there right now, or they can put an apartment there or a house there right now. Yes.
Isn't that lower part of the floodplain though?
There is a lot of floodplain, yes, we
Yes.
offer not the subject, but the northern property, there's a floodway and floodplain, so there's
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Yeah, he's got that. He's pulling that up.
So you would have to use the existing building. If you build another building, you would have to go by
Correct, but
He's
either
building.
elevation or no rise,
elevation road, so there's a,
but that has been,
yeah.
people have been doing. that.
As it exists right now, it's grandfathered in anyway.
Thank you, Jesse.
It's, all that
This is
really-
what, this helps a lot whenever
Everything
you
you're
can
looking
actually
at
see.
really right now is grandfathered in.
Yes, elevation, they can also
Yeah.
flood-proof, they're not.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean,
Here we go.
You want to turn the zoning off and.
See,
2012, yeah.
there you go.
Red is the floodway, which is the very fringe. This is the floodplain. Commercial uses in the floodplain have an option of either floodproofing or elevating. And we have found it to be enough.
So the,
The northern part of some of this property is also in the floodplain. If they are to reconstruct the building or substantially improve it, which is 50% of market value, they would have to come with environmental compliance. They would have to elevate them.
Yeah.
Bring them, or floodproof them. So there's an opportunity to improve the site this way too. But because they're in non-conformity, they cannot reconstruct or.
yeah, the lower part of that would be cost, really a lot of money to bring that into where it fits beside the creek there, right, Rob?
Flood proofing would be a lot cheaper than raising it above the floodplain, and they'd have to put windows and doors that don't permit. But we're looking at doing that down in the finance department, so it's conceivable.
Yeah.
It all depends on the value of the new improvement. If it's an extremely valuable improvement, flood proofing is not expensive. If it's a fairly cheap enterprise, then it is expensive. The doors, cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a piece.
I'm sorry, Olga, can you tell me whether there are any setback requirements for any fuel tank repository? So in the gas station scenario, those would have to be out of the floodplain or not? If you know?
Fuel tanks, fuel tanks are generally regulated beyond that. Floodplain, I'm not sure about the fuel tanks. Yeah, or an elevated or elevated
But so
underground.
but underground,
Underground,
like
that
for
would
a
be
gas
the-
station?
There would be DEQ regulation, and if it's underground floodplain, yeah, if it's elevated, then they have to elevate it and anchor them, but underground, there would be DEQ, not the floodplain.
Okay.
Can you put back up the zoning map?
Yes. The other one.
And you said part of this is under a mixed-use overlay?
Yes, the subject property, the colors are really close here.
Yeah.
But this area right here, the triangle below,
Yes.
including the Walnut Village, this is the Walnut Street neighborhood residence on this overlay. The northern part, right, the railroad is separator, is not saving the original center overlay. So, and this is the part on the right of both districts. The park is adjacent to both districts. And also the park is adjacent to the street, not saving anymore as well. So not saving on the street and this is.
So it's currently under a mixed-use overlay. Was there a reason why we just didn't make a change to that mixed-use overlay?
That still would not allow, it still would keep them pre-existing non-conformity. Because mixed-use overlay allows multi-use offices and things like that. It wouldn't allow storage units even under special use permit.
What about completely rezoning that, just to allow for storage,
That would be
but nothing else?
If the
Or not any, like a bar or anything, make it so that it's in compliance for what it is, but not allow.
also have done something similar before. You can create new zoning district. New mixed-use overlay with some conditions and describe these. We've done that a couple of times.
I don't think anybody, certainly I am not concerned about it staying
A storage
the
unit.
existing use.
Right.
And I understand the desire to make improvements. You know,
But they can't make improvements because it's grandfathered in.
but,
Yeah, they can.
and I understand that, and certainly sympathize with that need. But we are taking an area, that particular area that is directly across the street from that beautiful park and zoning it to the most high-intensity land use designation we have. And that's going to be in place for all time. So
What is-
if there is a way that we could provide relief to allow the existing use to make some improvements as needed, I would be all for that, but
Council could do something like keeping the current designation, for example, Walnut Street in residential MXO 2, and 2 would mean that everything that's now plus mini warehouses be a special use permit, like they're everywhere else. And that would give them just this additional use, and it would be just applicable to this property.
Could you tell me what would be allowed there now, the way it is zoned?
Yes, it's
Now.
actually on the table, if you want to flip to your agenda in the staff report, and I'll read from it, the two tables, the comparison. Right now, they can have single-family townhomes, cottages, multi-family, family care homes, residential care facility, bed and breakfast, temporary housing, boarding housing, inn, animal services, banks, business support, child adult daycare, government services, personal services like hair salons, professional services, drive-through service.
What was that?
Drive-through services to be
Okay.
allowed right now. Studio art dance, outside sales will be allowed there, restaurant will be allowed there.
Which could be
They can sell alcohol, yes.
Absolutely.
already allowed.
The restaurants are allowed and then can serve alcohol beverages. Cultural facility, indoor, outdoor recreation, schools, religious institution, crop production and nursery, forestry and logging, wireless communication facilities.
So they could put a telecommunication tower there now.
There are some additional standards, certain facilities do qualify, yes, certain.
Okay.
Not necessarily power, but certain facilities. Laundry, dry cleaners, right now.
They could, oh,
General commercial, under 100,000 square feet.
Alma, will you remind me, what was the planning board vote, please?
Yes, I will.
4-2.
It was, so there were two votes, first the vote of consistency attached to agenda the planning board report. Motion carried 4-2 for consistency. The board recommended it's inconsistent with the long-range map, but it's reasonable in the public interest because of its adjacency to the district and because of its long time track record of successful business. So this was carried 4-2. Motion 5-1 was carried to recommend it to the council, and we did not have a full board. Board members missing.
Thank you.
Olga, is the permitted use in the existing zoning of a general commercial under 100,000 square feet, is that by right?
I believe, let me double check for you right now, but usually those don't have any specific restrictions. Let me double check right now. General commercial, less than 1,000 square feet, yes, it is by right.
Okay, so
You can't set a building of 100,000 square feet or more on that.
We have, yes,
no, but you could put Best Buy,
Yes,
which is
right now,
20,000 square feet.
right now without,
under 100,000, yes.
right now.
You can put it-
You could put a restaurant with a bar.
You can put the restaurant that sells alcoholic beverages right now.
But not storage units.
No to storage.
I'm sorry.
And also, I'm gonna show you.
That's
how
just-
visually, if you allow
So
me-
all the worst case scenarios can already be allowed right now,
So,
except for what's there.
let me show you something. So this is two parcels, right? This is
Yes.
the northern parcel,
Yes.
which is already zoned. This is the southern parcel. And people from apartments got left and right there, but visually they're inseparable. That's,
Right.
That's what looks like in the park, the picnic, I had the picnic there and I took a picture and that's what you're looking right now. So, yeah, that's the current view.
So what would it take for us to make changes that would allow the existing non-conforming use to be conforming?
Two options, either the requested rezoning or to create new MX02 and just this.
So, I know where you're going, because I'm there too, but what additional items are we adding if we went through with the zoning that's requested
Right.
that's not already allowed?
Let me give you that. It's also in the table. Hotel, which it is already allowed, and enough to 30 rooms.
Right.
Halfway home, which the boarding home is allowed. So,
Right.
Civic organization, which similar use cultural facilities are already allowed.
Right.
Kennels, but animal.
But animal services are allowed in the other one.
Medical outpatient center, but we do have a college outdoor care services are allowed. Alcoholic beverage sales at its own standing store. Bar tavern, gas station with additional standards, and then pawn shop, vehicle services, vehicle sales, rental, construction maintenance services, general commercial, 100,000, video game parlor, indoor, outdoor amusement theater, which we have recreational allowed, college, university, which we do have schools allowed, manufacturing light, heavy, which is light, it would be like brewery, heavy is different. Metal product fabrication, landfill, recycling collection, meeting warehouses, storage, indoor storage, wholesale distribution, parking lot as a principal structure.
So the things that we would be adding that's not currently would be a bar and
Standalone,
a mechanic shop.
yes,
basically.
pretty much, standalone bar.
General commercial over 100,000.
But that won't fit on that piece of property.
You don't think those would fit
Well,
on
there
that?
are-
100,
there are
no.
others.
I gotta have parking there, $100,000 spot there.
What's the square footage of that lot?
This is 3.25, 3.25 acre. And Also, Ross Avenue has a principal building maximum 3 stories, so it has to be 3 stories max. Ross Avenue, excuse me.
3.25
Pardon me,
acres.
5 stories, excuse me. 4 or 5 stories, so that would be the height limit.
I know I'm throwing stuff at you too. 3.25 acres would fit 100,000 square foot? No.
No,
It-
no,
no,
no.
No.
No parking.
There's 3.25 acres is 141,000 square feet.
Which would not
According
be
to-
allowed there because of the parking requirements.
Yeah, setbacks and parking, that would not be
And there'll be
allowed.
more, when something big comes, there is more required too. There will be required, usually
I know.
stormwater management will be required, some landscaping, so a lot of things will be required with the additional space.
They could theoretically buy the apartments and tear the apartments down.
Apartments can go now.
The apartments can go now.
Would you not make an amendment to the existing zoning and add this,
Well, the thing is that everything that we are afraid of is already allowed except for a mechanic shop.
And then they have restrictions on the storage, like heavy equipment, like I read earlier, cannot be just stored. Yeah, and everything else has to be buffered. Like you can't have parts laying there that are described.
so either way, it's going to not make a bit of difference.
I know, that's why. Do we carve out another mixed overlay too, which could cause complexities in the future? Because we've run into that all over the place.
Our MXO designations are quite complex, already.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Got a motion to close the public hearing and a second.
Olga, I can't ask you
All in
anything.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we can open it up for discussion. Chuck, do you have anything to discuss?
No.
Julia?
No, sir.
Do you have anything to discuss? John?
I said my piece.
You already said your piece. All right. Anthony, do you have anything
No, sir, I
else?
think I've said.
You already had said your piece? too?
Yes.
Okay, then,
The exercise.
then I'll ask them, what's the wishes of the board here to find the amendment inconsistent or inconsistent to the 25? I will need a motion in one of those orders.
I'll make a motion, but I'll need Anthony's help because I don't
Yes.
have an iPad or laptop with me.
Okay.
I find that the motion to the map amendment is consistent with the 2035 comprehensive plan, and it's reasonable and in the public interest.
Got a
In
motion.
that,
And he's
Hold on
going to
just
need
a
to read that.
in that it creates walkable and attractive neighborhoods and commercial centers, encourages infill, mixed use and context-sensitive development, and promotes the growth of existing local businesses in Waynesville's maker economy.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
But we need a second.
Give me a second.
I need a second.
Oh, I've got a second.
I'll make a second.
He does a second. Yeah, Anthony already seconded. He was just reading for it.
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign.
No.
Okay, got one over. 3 ayes. Okay, motion carried. All right, the second amendment here, adoption.
Do we want to make a change to the land use? Is
Is a
that
motion
correct?
to adopt the map amendment as presented?
So we should vote on the second motion.
We got still have to
before-
vote.
I see where you're going, but we should take care of this motion
Okay,
before.
thank you.
Take this one. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the map amendment as presented.
All right, got a motion to adopt the map amendment as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign.
No.
Got one no. Okay. All right. Ayes carried. Thank you so much.
Did, Councilman Sutton may have another motion to make on that same subject before you move on there.
Judy,
I was thinking about that.
do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, let me think. Give me just 1 second, Mayor.
Okay.
It was to make,
So there is so the option is, if I may, you may totally find it consistent, which the board has just done. And because the storage units were there, the map was dropped after, there must be a reason, that's okay for the future land use. Or you may find, well, the designation is inconsistent, but we still think it's consistent with the plan and reasonable in the public interest. And we want to amend the land use, not zoning, but also land use map, the different designation, that's an option.
We already said it was consistent with the,
You did.
yeah.
So you're saying you can say something is consistent with the plan,
But it's not,
even though, because, for example, there are some places where the density zoning designations on our comprehensive plan, the long-term plan, are not consistent with the current zoning. So you can say something is consistent with the plan, but not necessarily with the map, because there's a whole bunch of different reasons why something, there are interests and goals stated in the plan that could be
different than the-
different. Well, and you could decide that this goal is more important for this particular piece of property than the entire district. So it's a little more flexible. So you can ask the staff to amend the comprehensive plan map to conform to this if you would like.
It doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't.
I'm good there.
Okay, all right, well, shall we move on? Thank you. And thank you, sir. Okay, we move on to old business. And we got approval of amendment for cash flow for a loan application. Robbie would like to bring the board up on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During your May 27th meeting, you adopted a resolution requesting $1,500,000 from the North Carolina State Treasurer as a cash flow loan. The loan was offered by the treasurer as a 0% loan for a 5-year period. The payback on that loan is $1 by the first anniversary of the loan date, 10% by June 30th of 2027, 20% by June 30th of 2028, 30% by June 30th of 2029, and the remaining 40% after that date. It's predicated on the FEMA actually turning over their payment or their reimbursement to the town for the funds that we've used in restoring the town from the hurricane. We sent the application into the treasurer's office, and they very quickly, within hours, returned our calls and our application and said that they would provide the remaining funds that they had from phase one to the town. That remaining dollar amount is $503,482.76. So they are offering this as a cash flow loan, and they ask that we amend our $1,500,000 application to reflect the amount they're offering. And that's the request that your staff has before you tonight. Incidental to that, the town is eligible for $2,657,300 in cash flow loans. The treasurer's office allowed us to submit all of our projected cost for the restoring from the hurricane, and not just that amount that we had borrowed from the 3 separate funds. So that amount goes up considerably. There will be a phase 2 cash flow loan program, and we applied for the remainder of the $2,657,000 that wasn't covered by the phase 1 loan. But tonight, what I'd ask you to do is to approve the amended application and resolution for $503,482.76. We'll send that in tomorrow and hopefully get our check by Friday.
All right, questions from
That's-
anyone?
That was made in jest.
It's a no-brainer here.
I'll make the motion as set forth by Rob.
Okay, we've got a motion for Chuck,
Second,
second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
And there's a possibility that some of that might be forgivable, if I recall.
All of it.
All of it, okay.
That would be awesome. Okay, now we got a reclassified, one budget paid internship position to a part-time to a social worker position. Is that you, Josh? You know the chief is going on vacation and put you in a spot here, did you? Huh?
We spoke about our internship program for Western Carolina. It's through the Community Care Project. We've been working with them about 2 years. We've had one intern that was with us for approximately a year. She fell in love with law enforcement, went through our hiring process, and is currently in DLET. So we got a new one. We're hoping to make this position more permanent, make it a part-time position. The pay didn't affect anything in the budget, just going to be the same, just a permanent part-time position for a social worker. The things that they've helped us out with are DSS cases, addiction cases, mental health issues, things that can focus on that law enforcement in general has not really had time to focus on those situations. They've reached out in the community. They've already made a few pamphlets as far as resources that we have available in our community for lots of different things. This is a supportive pamphlet. It's got medical and mental health, food security, child services, housing, domestic violence. And then this one is a separate one that's a food resource guide. Talks about ways people have financial issues to handle with food. It's been a huge help. We spoke about it before. I've never heard anything bad about the program from any of the officers or the community. Really can't say enough good things. The one we have currently now under the program is hoping to move to this part-time position if you approve it. His name's Thomas. He's already got a bachelor's from math in psychology. He's working on his master's at Western right now. That's how he got in the program. He will be finishing next May, as long as things go well. And we're hoping eventually we can turn it into a full-time position, and he's hoping the same.
That's good.
I have a question, I'm sure. I have one question.
Sure.
The internship's at $15 an hour. That is not a wage for a part-time person, is it, Paige?
The time rate is reflects budget weekly. But I agree with you, it would probably be better.
Wait, what did I write down? $20? I'm okay with changing it to $20 an hour. There's, if that's okay.
My question is, how does the internship work with part-time position, how is this interactive?
So if he was to get that, they would still let him be part of the program. He just doesn't have, they have to turn in their hours to this certain program. And
He's not
we
being
have to
paid
approve
anything.
them.
He doesn't get paid anything now for his internship.
Yes,
He does
He
by
does.
us.
it's $15 an hour.
Okay, we're paying
For
for
an
internship
It's a
or
paid
for part-time.
internship program.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yes, so
That's
when it goes to part-time, that's different than an internship. That's actually,
He has to turn in a lot of paperwork as far as getting paid to the college also.
It's essentially an employment status reclassification. It changes our employer obligations as far as payroll reporting, benefits, and also it seems like there are academic complications for him since it's an internship through the school.
So we were already paying him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
When we started that program almost a few years ago, at first it was with the first one, which was Casey. And now she is a full-time.
Yeah.
So what, so part-time is how many hours?
Under 30.
or less per week.
If you'd like to come up.
$95 a week, so yeah, sorry. There's a potential of me adding that $5 would be $95 more a week added to the budget. So if it's okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the reclassification of one paid intern position with an hourly rate of pay of $20 per hour to a part-time, for $15 an hour to a part-time social worker position with an hourly rate of $20 an hour.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A second, by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got another budget amendment for Parks and Recreation Department. Luke. A lot of budget amendments here.
End of the year.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have a good budget amendment, I would say. We received a TDA grant in the amount of $75,000 through their market research grant portal for going toward updating our 10-year master plan. If you aren't aware, in 2027, it will technically expire. So it is crucial with planning for grants, for the state grants, to have an updated plan. So with the advisory commission and myself and many others, we were grateful to have the advising and support to apply for this grant. And we applied for a larger amount, but we were gratefully funded $75,000. So tonight we are just asking for that budget amendment to be hopefully approved to go toward an updated site-specific plan for rec and Vance Park. That's in the tentative kind of stages. We received the grant, but we're kind of still filling out. And of course, we will put this out to an RFP and get consultants to bid on this. And we would like to do topographical site survey data to give us some real good recommendations and emerge top trends in recreation and what we can do in the future for the park.
Anyone have questions?
I'm just going to say that Luke, I think we've learned a few things from our last plan, and Luke is trying to incorporate those learning lessons in the new plan and in the RFP so that we'll get a better plan.
Yeah. Julia, you have anything?
No, sir.
Sure. John? Daphne?
No, good.
Okay.
I move we amend the budget, approve the budget amendment for the Parks and Rec Department.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Those are kind of amendments we like.
Yes, I do too.
Glad to profit there. Thank you so much, Luke. Put that to work. Okay. Okay, we'll move on. We got a request from Building Inspections to approve the resolution authorizing demolition of 262 Allens Creek Road, pin 8604-88-2224, and of a bid contract to demolish the building. E.T.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The property at 262 Allens Creek is a dilapidated manufactured home. Our building inspector, David Kelly, could not be here tonight, so I'm going to read you his comments. This has been a neglected property for years that we have received complaints on. The rear exterior wall of this home is partially collapsed, leaving a large hole. The interior floors have areas that have rotted, leaving open holes in many areas. There's been no utilities connected in years, and the property is unsecured to vagrancy and has many of the neighbors concerned for the safety of their neighborhood. In your agenda packet, you'll see a detailed summary of the actions that the town has taken. In short, we sent a notice to correct to correct to the property owners. This had a deadline of April 4th. The property owners didn't make any repairs before this deadline, and so we went ahead with a scheduled public hearing, which was held May 7th. At this point, well, let me back up. At that hearing, no property owner attended the hearing, and then we also went ahead and sent out the finding of facts and the order for the manufactured home to be demolished within 60 days of the date of the order in accordance with our code of ordinances. As of today, no repairs or demolition have been done by any of the owners. We've had several phone calls from a few of the property owners stating either they did not want anything to do with this property, or that they want to take ownership, or that they wanted to take ownership. I informed the few owners that have communicated with us that they would need to consult an attorney if they were interested in taking any ownership. There were actually 25 named owners on our title
I
search.
see that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Phillipses.
This has taken us a very long time to get to this point.
That's a huge amount of iron.
We went ahead and selected bids for demolition, and we'd like to recommend a bid of $5,550 that's in your agenda packet there. So tonight, we're asking for two things. One is permission to go ahead and demolish this property at the town's cost, and two, to approve the contract to WCD Demo and Construction LLC for $5,550.
Okay.
You have this money in your budget for this fiscal year under your cleanup and demolition line item that we manage for code enforcement.
Anyone have questions for ET?
I have one question. They have 60 days from the date of the order, which was 5/8.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. If you'll notice in the resolution, even though we're asking your approval tonight, we still have to wait till the 60 days is completed from the time of notification, which means we won't turn around and do this action right
Till
away.
July the 6th or
We
something
have
like
to,
that.
finish the timeline out. We're bringing it to you tonight because you may cancel your next meeting.
I move to adopt the resolution authorizing demolition.
Got a motion,
Second.
got a motion by Chuck, second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I move to approve the contract to demolish from WCD Demo and Construction.
Motion by Chuck, second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Miss E.T. Okay, next is a traffic calming policy update. Assistant Town Manager Jesse Fowler.
Council, Mayor. In 2023, traffic calming devices got really popular in the town of Waynesville, and we got a lot of requests for those informally at the board level. So we devised crafted a traffic calming policy that we began issuing to people to follow in order to determine eligibility for traffic calming devices, speed bumps, speed humps. And what we saw after we implemented that policy in 2023 was that a lot of people were coming in, a lot of people were making applications for traffic calming. We installed a lot of them, and since that time, we've determined that that policy needed some revisions. So around the end of that year or last year, it was a while ago, the town council asked Rob to form a committee. Darrell was the only one left standing. And that committee worked with JMT to look at our policy, revise it, clean it up, and bring to you guys a new one. They got done working on that probably a year and a half ago, and I got a phone call about a month ago from an individual just asking general information about traffic calming devices. So I said, well, let me go look at the new policy, and it had draft written on it. So I called the lone survivor of the committee, and he said, yeah, we did good work, we got it done, but we never took it to the council. So I'm here today with the traffic calming policy that you have in front of you to explain that this policy crafted with our team and JMT does a couple things that the other one doesn't. It removes a lot of the nuance and a lot of the there was a lot of, there wasn't a lot of hard metrics in the old policy that would define eligibility. And you guys experienced this problem when you would be presented some of these applications, because there were some questions left on the table, like, where is the point where we decide or have the ammunition to decide yes or no? So that led to, and what we saw was a lot of traffic calming devices being installed without saying, this is the metric and they fall within that. This clears that up. It adds some very clear eligibility requirements. And along the path of the application process, it has about 3 or 4 different points at which those metrics are reevaluated. And if you don't meet that metric then it's cut off. It's designed to keep JMT's hands out of this necessarily. The last policy, as it was written, we were required to take all applications to JMT and initiate a traffic calming or initiate a traffic shed study. Those are probably, depending on the area, $2,000 to $5,000 a piece. The way this policy is crafted, we can do a lot of that work in-house, depending on the equipment that we have. Most of them we can probably do right now. Once we do measurements, the committee that needs to be reformed, got some ideas, would determine by policy that eligibility before it comes to you, so that you're not faced with a policy eligibility question on the day as that decision is made and given to you as a report, like all other committees. And I'm here to answer any questions you have about it.
Anyone have any questions for Jessica? John?
I love it. The only thing, and I'm not even sure, I've asked this rhetorically, I'm not even sure how you would do that, but there is no criterion for what the neighborhood wants. In other words, all the scoring is done is, technical data points, and there is no subjective criterion.
The 66% requirement received on a petition is that analogous public input. So once we do all of this work and then we prepare a petition and then we prepare a traffic shed and we give you the addresses, I think the philosophy behind that, keep in mind, I was not in this committee meeting, these committees, but the philosophy of it is, if you can get 66% of the community to agree and sign this petition, then you must have 66% approval of the neighborhood, and so it therefore must be wanted. It's a deduction rather than it is like a public input session.
That's good. Anthony, you have anything to add to that?
No, Mayor.
I would just also say that if you need a volunteer to serve on that committee.
Carol's already volunteered. Thank you.
I would be happy to participate if council input is appropriate.
If you want, we can do that. I've kind of got some ideas because the original committee was Joey Webb, fire, police, all that kind of stuff. So what I've done is just kind of say admin, police, fire, public works. And that keeps you guys out of the business. We bring you a report and then you decide on that as you go. And we got a rubric for you, and the intent is to clean this up before it gets here. And for the folks that are cleaning it up before it gets here, give them some very specific rules by which you clean.
I would suggest, so if, Sean, you're volunteering to serve on the committee.
Staff would honestly recommend that council does not volunteer.
Totally fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might
Trying
come,
to dance around that one.
it might be it could be that there are situations where it might be tricky for you to vote on an issue that you worked up in the committee.
I withdraw my.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Fletcher.
Okay.
I really appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. This is
A lot of forgotten
Thank
work.
you.
I got that phone call and I was like, yeah, we got a brand new policy that we haven't even used yet.
Yeah. Thank you for all, for your work. Okay, guys, what he's asking for is adopt this attached traffic calming policy, supporting the document.
I move that we do that.
Got a motion by Chuck,
Second by.
second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you.
I know that there's a lot of work went into that.
Yeah, well, and for the record, I didn't do any of this work. So
Okay.
Harold did it, Public Works did it, the police did it, Rob dealt with it.
Okay. Thank you,
I just
Darryl.
kinda found it later.
Thanks, Darryl.
They did a good job.
It definitely needed cleaning up. All right, we have added to there about the annual renewal of terms for board and commission members. You guys have that sent to you there from the town clerk, and she's here to bring it for you.
Yes, very straightforward. This is something that y'all do every year. You have your packets before you, the applications of renewing members for our advisory commissions. There's also ballots available if you choose to vote. Usually y'all just unanimously approve. That's up to you guys. Any questions?
Good. I didn't see in this is that housing. Remember about Waynesville housing?
Yes, so I'll allow our manager at the manager's report to discuss interviewing Waynesville.
Okay,
housing authority.
that's another.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is just our,
And
Yes.
we've already interviewed all the people
yeah,
necessary.
all these people are just asking for renewal.
I
Yes,
move
sir.
that we appoint all the renewing applicants to serve another term on their respective boards.
Got a motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Thank you,
Wonderful,
Dr.
thank you.
Thank you. Oh, a lot of applicants. Thank you,
I'm glad that-
town clerk. All right, we'll move on, communication from staff.
And I have one.
Oh,
item
yes,
that
yes,
I
yes, there is another added. You're exactly right.
There's a grant opportunity from the Dogwood Health Trust, up to $500,000, no match. It's due June 27th, and this is at the recommendation of the Environmental Sustainability Board. It's the Collaborating and Innovating Grant. But what we've looked at several different things, but what we would like to apply for is a grant to put solar and battery storage on the Public Works building, to turn it into, to make it a command and control center in the event of an emergency. This would provide for crisis management, it would provide for the power staying on. First of all, if you've got the solar and then battery backup, you can keep the power on. The grant calls for collaboration, and we're looking at collaborating with the county in terms of planning, using volunteers in the event of an emergency, communications, helping the elderly. Right now, the town of Waynesville does a lot with the county in providing equipment, vehicles, and helping with emergencies. And the grant requires collaboration. I've spoken with Elizabeth in the past, and while we did a good job with Helene, there's a lot we learned and more we can do to have our own command and control center that would cooperate with the county. So this is and I'll make the motion to allow the town to apply for the grant.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Chuck.
And if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad.
Can I'm going to vote for it in a minute. So I just make this clear to the public. This is not money that we have to pay back.
Right.
This is a grant,
Yeah.
which is a gift. The grant is equivalent to gift in either the nonprofit or the.
With a lot of strings.
There is, and they'll meet that, but I'm just saying, this is not, the town of Waynesville taxpayers are not paying for
No,
this.
oh,
So,
not
yes.
at all.
And, yeah,
Thank
Won-
you,
wonderful.
Julia.
Thank you, Julia.
Yes, make that clear.
For adding that in there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Town manager, you're on the spot.
Thank you, Mayor. Looking at our summer agenda items, what we do every year is we try to make our meeting time as beneficial as possible. And as usual in the summer with people going on vacations, our business with the council drops somewhat. We're suggesting that you cancel your June 27th council meeting. And of course, we'll have our normal first meeting in July. And that meeting would be, have about the same number of items as you see on this agenda. We're trying to avoid a 10 or 15-minute meeting because we have very slim items on the agenda. So we recommend your June 27th meeting be canceled.
Need a motion in that order, correct?
Yes, because you're
I don't think
canceling
you're
a
gonna have a
regular
problem with
meeting.
anybody being. Julie?
I'll make a motion to cancel the June 27th council meeting.
Second.
A second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You have anything else, sir? I'm trying to think if there's anything that
He hired somebody.
you have something to ask Rob?
No, I was gonna say he hired somebody that I was thinking he might tell us about.
Well, we hire lots of people. I think I'll tell you what I'd like to do is to have our public works director come in because he's made two hires, two parallel positions, the deputy director of administration and the deputy director of operations. And if he just wants to, you don't have to name names, just talk about the position, the folks and when they may be coming and a little bit about the process. What is she doing, telling you not to screw up?
No names.
So we don't have a date on one of them yet. So we have two deputy directors that went through the interview process, and we've got two signed job offers. So one of them is Hutch Reese, and he starts on June 16th. Laura Yonkers is the second, and she'll be the deputy director of administration. Hutch Reese will be the operations side of that. So definitely looking forward to them getting started. Hutch is a military man. I don't know if y'all seen the background on that. He's finishing up some of that, so that's what the delay was for him getting started. And then Laura is working right now in Broward County, Florida, and she's got a very nice resume. She's a professional engineer, got a background in stormwater. Both of them have a lot of leadership experience, which is one of the main reasons I was interested in both of them. But definitely looking forward to getting both of those in here.
Yeah, that's good. Rick, anybody have questions for Rick while we got him on the spot?
Hutch will be here on the 16th.
16th of June. We also have other positions that are open right now too that we're getting ready to do some interviewing that are
Okay.
instrumental for what we're getting ready to start. So
Sounds good, Rick. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for getting the cemetery took care of.
I'll pass that on to the guys. They pulled together themselves and done that.
I appreciate it. I had some heat on me.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on. Martha, do you have anything?
I do not.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Mayor. Can we arrange interviews for the Waynesville Housing Authority applicants?
Yeah.
We have two applicants that you emailed you all their applications, Vivian Fromberger and James. Really great applicants. I also got a request from the Housing Authority to possibly sit in on those interviews. This person will be replacing Bucky Dykes, who has really big shoes to fill. So they just want to hear.
Yeah, I could speak on behalf of Vivian Butler. She is tops. She's been with Mountain Projects for what, 40 years? Something like that. And dealt with the housing, so.
When are you looking to have those?
Julia, you and Chuck, would you guys like to interview them too?
The goal is to appoint them by the July meeting.
I'm totally available.
Do you guys mind interviewing them? Chuck and
Sure.
Julia?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. You got that?
In just one position.
Julia and Chuck
Correct.
would be glad to interview those two.
We're not going anywhere this month, I don't think.
I'm not going
I will reach out to them tomorrow.
No, that retirement would come in handy, Julia.
Yeah.
I'll be looking at you a lot, won't I?
Oh, Lordy.
Well, Chuck and
You can start.
Anthony and I still got to work for.
I know.
Yeah. I'll probably be working until I die. Communication from staff, I'll start on this and Anthony.
Real quick, I'm a new member of the American Flood Coalition. We had some individuals come from Washington DC and Rob graciously met with them. We had a meeting yesterday about resiliency and getting funding. They're an organization that does work with this on the federal level as well as the state level, and I'll be traveling across the state and to federal to help make sure that we're getting funds for the flood. There's something like $4.7 billion has been allocated for the flood, but less than 15% has been distributed. So we need to make sure that the money starts to flow.
Right. Do you have any updates on DOT on?
That is being voted on this month for Russ Avenue. I'm sorry, for South Main Street is being voted on, as well as the addition to Russ Avenue.
So would that get bumped up a little bit sooner, maybe for South Main?
It all depends. They did, NCDOT received $400 million from the federal government for flood repairs, which will help ease some of the money flow issues. But as you know, the Interstate 40 is almost $2 billion. So that $400 million is just a drop in the bucket.
That's a vacuum cleaner there.
So it depends on when money starts to flow. I don't think that it's going to go off completely. It'll just be delayed.
Okay.
Hopefully.
John?
Nope.
You good? Julia?
No, sir.
I don't have anything, believe it or not. So I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion by Anthony, second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like. I don't believe anybody's going to
I did
go
that for
against
12 years.
that.
I'm not doing it anymore. I'm out. I did it for